Beyond that, this is ignoring the outrageous elephant in the room, which is that unemployment rates are almost twice what they were before the pandemic. If this wasn't an issue back then, why do people say it's one now? The short answer is that Nehru has shifted, increased. Politicians don't usually campaign on increased unemployment. They will likely offer more jobs to more Americans in order to get a majority vote. It's easy to think that at least 99% of the people wouldn't like this. After all, they either don't understand what Nehru is or they assume it's a tiny country in the Pacific Ocean. But beyond the negatives, there are several good reasons for moving here. The unemployment rate for example, is very low. The government's goal should be to keep the unemployment rate as low as possible without risking economic growth. Keeping this figure relatively low is popular with voters, so it would be good for governments to prioritize it. The government might employ people directly in government roles as contractors or indirectly provide incentives via an expansionary fiscal budget with low taxation rates and high payments. The main issue with this option is that it can create another type of unemployment, institutional unemployment. This is caused by the policies of institutions, which often don't get a lot of attention. There are multiple reasons that one might shut down a particular mine. It can be because the employees wanted to unionize or refused to hire a certain race or gender, but more often this is due to a government intervening in markets. There is a broad group of economists that claim that the policies put in place to help people deal with the direct economic repercussions of the coronavirus were too generous. The unemployment, coupled with the many stimulus checks, have resulted in people not working, making more money than they would be with a steady paycheck. Given that many people also spend a lot of money on transport home plus childcare, nutrition outside of home, etc. once they start working, they may find out that they were actually even better off having stayed at home. What's even more is that there are still people who are coming into contact with people affected by the virus, as a server. The fact that you're in close proximity to people all day might affect your decision as well. I think I would decide to stay home rather than work in food service. But I would like to think I'm the type of guy who values a good day's work. And normally, given this decision, I would choose to earn my own money rather than take assistance. See, even if you pay the same salary as my counterpart, but given the context of the world that we live in right now, I would need to work for a considerably higher wage in order to take that job. Now the whole process we've gone through accelerates the time it takes to find a job. Our earlier studies showed that, in times of recession, this rate has increased to around 1%, up to 6%. Unemployment at this time was over 8%, which was never an issue. Today the economic situation is worse because of material constraints we have on our economic growth. Basically, where are all the resources we need to run the economy? There's not enough lumber here, not enough cars, and not enough of essentially anything that we use on a daily basis. It should be good to note that we are still in a crisis right now, and it would make sense that unemployment is higher. Governments also seem to be obsessed with driving the unemployment rate much lower than where it is, which should be telling. Most economists believe that this theory is true in a properly functioning economy. Some might point out, however, that these developments are definitely strange, even for economics students. Those who follow the Austrian School of Economics will say, "We told you so." This is why I think this will do more harm than good for the economy. If that plumber from earlier, who is currently earning $30 an hour, has to go back to working for $20 an hour, he might default on payments for the new car he overpaid for, which could be a very big problem. A rough analogy would be that a COVID hit the economy like an unexpected breakup. There are two ways to deal with breakups. You can either realize it's going to take a while and start taking steps to feel better, or you can stay focused on all of the things that went wrong and not take steps to stop liking someone or something else. A viable alternative to this might be going on a bender. It briefly eliminates the pain but will undoubtedly make things worse in the long term. It should be noted that not all economists agree with this pessimistic point of view. Some would say this is merely a systematic issue that will sort itself out at its own pace. There are arguments to be made in its favor. When you consider the figures, as it was during the height of the pandemic, millions of people were laid off in a short amount of time as well. After the earthquake, a lot of people had to provide support to their families in different ways. One could retake classes to better themselves or get a new job, for example. These days companies are reopening and trying to employ those who were previously out of work. Some of the people who were let go will be happy since they will have found other arrangements. Though a lot of them have already been claimed, the current job openings are at one of the highest points in history. And sure, some people won't find anything and you'll be forced to come back to work. But there will be many others who continue to use their backup alternatives during the lockdown. This could even out with new people joining the workforce and existing businesses reducing staff levels. Eventually, there will be fewer businesses that need to hire staff back in order to replace the ones that have left, so to speak. When you're looking for a new job, it's not uncommon to be tempted by offers of higher salaries. You might feel like jumping ship to advance your career, but there are other ways you can capitalize on the increase in availability of jobs. The statistics reveal that employees who stay with their company for more than 2 years tend to earn more, on average. In order to get the best value out of your salary, it's a good idea to put in some hard work and try not to change jobs too often. For your hard work is always good advice, but maybe never more so than right now. Of course, this process is made even easier by being able to leverage an ever-expanding set of valuable and marketable skills,